Welcome into another episode of Betting the Pitch with your host, the real underscore G Warner, on Patreon, Instagram, and of course, Twitter. This will be Friday, November 3rd's episode for the weekend of European soccer. Going to go through the top 5 European soccer leagues, or top 6 minus Holland, and then going to come up with the best bet for each of the leagues, put up an ultimate best bet at the end of the show. So stick around for that. Very happy to be home off my European Euro trip, if you will. Sky doesn't know, but I went to Italy, and as you can see in my knockoff Maradona jersey from Napoli, as well as a Roma scarf in the background. Figured why not just add to Italian economies, buying things that I probably shouldn't while I was over there. Thanks for all of you for sticking around. I know it's been a little bit all over the place over the past few days, weeks, whatever, with travel, but back in the US, not going in abroad anytime soon. So should be some more consistency with this. The NFL podcast that I've done with my good friend Andrew Schnicker, we're going to hopefully have another episode coming out for this weekend. We were going to record it last night, but he's very under the weather. So we'll see if we can get one in before Sunday. That is the plan. Also, very happy to I guess bring up that I'm going to be recording my own college basketball podcast with another good friend of mine tonight, this afternoon. Something we'll see when it gets distributed. We're going to do a futures episode as we get ready for another big, hopefully another big college basketball season. As on pregame.com, I was up over 36 units. And should be back on the pregame network with college basketball coming out with my good friend AJ Hoffman as well. So a lot of the news updates there. We're going to get out and I guess get started with, this Friday, this weekend's podcast. We do have some Friday matches, busy week of cup matches pretty much across Europe's top 5 leagues, or 5 of the top 6 is probably the best way to put that going forward. But let's get into it. If you're not a member of my Patreon, check that out. Become a patron, patreon.com, just the real underscore G Warner. Best place to get my leans, my write-ups, my plays as soon as I lock them in, so you don't have to worry about getting them later on Twitter or getting them the night before on pregame. Certainly that's the best place to get it if you want my plays that are coming out and are locked in each night. Feel free to check out both places. I know some of you have mentioned that it's fairly expensive at pregame. I get that. Seems to be a pretty good core audience there. But if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, patreon.com, just a real underscore G Warner. And all lines closed on this podcast, courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced use is offered on almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account. Use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. So now you have some extra money in your account. Let's go to where the money is. And we'll start with the English Premier League, which has no Friday match this week. Good for all of us that are waiting forever to set our Premier League fantasy lineups. But here we are. Let's get into it right about now. Okay, so we'll start with Fulham hosting Manchester United in that early window, which I guess isn't as early in the US for some reason. I guess England hasn't moved their clocks forward or back or whatever. Fulham, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice on Manchester United. Over unders 2.5, juice all the way to over. I don't really understand where this number comes from. Manchester United had cup play at home against Newcastle midweek. Certainly have not looked great for this entire season so far. But I don't really get why they're only a quarter goal favorite on the road at Fulham. Fulham have left plenty to be desired. I don't think I want anything to do with that side. It's so short, which does kind of bring up the idea that whenever I see a very short line in Serie A in Italy, I usually want to back that short underdog. Fulham clearly are getting a lot of respect from the market here. I think I'm more interested in the under 2.5 because I think this could be a low scoring match, and that's really what Fulham are built to do. Brentford then hosts West Ham. Clearly Brentford a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice on West Ham on the road. Over unders 2.75, all the way juice to over. West Ham had cup midweek. Brentford did not, but this line is wild to me. Based on West Ham have certainly had a tough fixture run, are playing in Europe as well, which is not always great, and had the cup midweek too. Brentford have really been, I think, disappointing this season, though. This is a very strong line for them, giving a half of a goal at home. Yes, the rest advantage helps, but West Ham are used to playing more than one match a week. So I'm a little bit surprised by this one. Also, the 2.75 seems a little bit big to me as well. So Yeah, I'm kind of surprised on I guess both facets of this line. I don't know necessarily that it's going to guarantee. I'm not going to guarantee will make my card by any means, but these feel like very two spots. I like West Ham. Their defense hasn't been as good this year. That's really what they were built on before. But I think fading Brentford as a favorite is a weird role for them to be in. Manchester City then hosts Bournemouth. Currently, Man City a 2.75 goal favorite with a little bit more juice on Bournemouth. Over under is 3.75, juice a little bit to under. Huge price here. Bournemouth are really a great side at not winning games so far this season. It's been a real big struggle for Andoni Iraola. And I don't know that's going to necessarily change here. Bournemouth, though, and Iraola sides have always set up the counterattack. Unless he's been relieved of his duties and I missed it. I would expect that same type of setup here. Problem is Manchester City are used to breaking that down. I think if you want to play Bournemouth, you probably want to look at that under 3.75, which is a gigantic number, but it's right about where I made it. So I think I probably want a 4 before I play under there. And I don't know that I've had a ton of success in my soccer betting career, backing under 4s. Next, we'll go to Sheffield United hosting Wolves. Currently, Sheffield a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over unders 2.5, all the way juice to under. This feels like a much bigger number than I was making it. I mean, Wolves have been, I think, better than a lot of people expect this year. Really like Gary O'Neill. I think he's been great. Now, as for Sheffield United, they've been very tough at home. We've seen them play and get results against good teams, but they kind of been pretty far off the pace so far this season, and really look like one of those promoted sides that aren't really going to stick around for too long. They're still around for now, still in it, still fighting. It's still early in the season, but got off to a clearly terrible start to the season. So they need to start winning matches at home. I don't think they're going to be desperate enough that they're just going to throw their whole team up front and attack, which I think makes me want to play that under 2.5, because I still don't think Wolves are a very efficient team at scoring goals. Next, go to Everton hosting Brighton. Currently, Everton a quarter goal underdog at home. Over under is 3. Got more juice to the over and about split juice for the side here. Brighton are an all offense team. Everton have scored a lot more goals this season after basically scoring none all of last season. Brutal red card at home. Or excuse me, in 2 weeks ago, whenever they played Liverpool, I think that was at Anfield. But and that kind of changed the game. But they defended really well until a late stoppage time goal. Unfortunately, Brighton are going to be a similar, I think, type of setup where Everton are going to have to defend. It's going to be a big challenge for them. I think it's possible that it'll work out, but Brighton still look kind of scary to me, and ultimately were eliminated, did not have cup midweeks. This is the first time Brighton have really had a midweek off for what feels like this entire season since Europe began. Next, we'll go to Burnley hosting Crystal Palace. Currently, Burnley a pick'em. With getting some odds right now. So that's taking some Crystal Palace money since I've been tracking it. Over under is 2.25, and it is juiced very heavily to under. I guess that makes sense, juicing it to under based on Burnley playing the cup midweek. Crystal Palace being a really good defensive team that has very big offensive questions. But Burnley are really going to play an aggressive style of football. I almost feel like they're going to be on the front foot trying to score goals, trying to win this match. Crystal Palace is probably going to go on the road to defend, but Crystal Palace are a better side and should be able to keep Burnley out. I guess that does speak to potentially looking at under, though it's lower than what I made it. I think it's one of those where I'm probably not going to have something here necessarily, but we'll see where the line ends up moving. And last but not least, on Saturday, we have Newcastle hosting Arsenal. Currently, Newcastle, a pick 'em at home with all the juice on Arsenal. Over under is 2.5, juiced almost all the way to over at this point, and that's been taking some over money recently. Newcastle playing midweek, Arsenal also playing midweek in the Carabao Cup. Rotated sides pretty significantly, so I don't think that'll impact what we see in this matchup. But Arsenal are trying their best to manage winning 3 competitions right now in Champions League, Europa, the English Premier League if they're playing in that we're talking about now, and then that Carabao Cup midweek. So there's a lot going on there, but you can say the same thing for Newcastle at this point. At Pick'em, I think I'm probably going to skip, but I'd like to see Newcastle getting odds, which we haven't seen just yet, or at least I haven't seen it yet. And I think getting a quarter of a goal would be a buy price potentially for Newcastle, depending on lineups and things of that nature. At home, Newcastle are so great. They score a ton of goals that I don't really necessarily think they deserve. Looping shots that would never go in on the playground somehow go in. But that's certainly what I'm looking for. I just don't have it just yet. So that finishes Saturday. We move to Sunday. Nottingham Forest hosts Aston Villa. Currently, Nottingham Forest a half a goal underdog at home against a Villa side that have been playing really, really great football so far this season, mainly at home though. So we'll see how that translates to the road. Over under is 2 3/4 juice to under, a little bit more juice on the Aston Villa side as well. I think Nottingham Forest, they've shown at home they try to win matches and that are going to be less defensive. That does worry me a fair amount for under here, but I think 2 3/4 is far bigger than I made it. So that's my interest, I think, in that one. I guess backing that under, you're probably expecting Nottingham Forest to hang in the match. I don't really believe that Aston Villa can keep putting up 4 goals a match, really, with a lot of – they take leads and then they kind of score goals, like the empty net variety, not as bad as you'll see in the National Hockey League, but ultimately teams that are pushing forward and leaving, throwing caution to the wind, essentially just trying to go get an equalizer. Villa are great in that counterattacking space. I don't think Nottingham Forest will really be in that type of position until they're behind, but that does, based on the spread here, look like that might occur. So that total feels a little high to me, though, so I do like that, but I guess I'm liking it less the more I talk about it. Luton Town then hosts Liverpool. Current Luton, a 1 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice on Liverpool on the road. I would expect that'll climb and hit 2 goals before this kicks off, but we'll see what happens there. Over-under is 3.5, which is gigantic for a Luton Town match, but I guess not that big for Liverpool, but ultimately I'm interested in under here. I think it's a good possibility that Luton Town get a result here. And if that happens, I doubt they can score with Liverpool. I also doubt they'll really threaten the Liverpool defense too much. So I like Luton Town in that under 3.5. I like unders above 3 goals because yes, they're generally scary, but what under isn't. And for the most part, I think those are the most potentially profitable because 2-1 is still a pretty high scoring game in soccer ultimately, or in football, wherever you're watching it. You probably call it something different, wherever you're watching this podcast. So, and then moving to Monday, last one, we have Tottenham hosting Chelsea, a good London derby. Not the most important, not North London, not West London. I don't think it really matters too much, but not I guess that they're both in London. I'll leave it there. Tottenham, a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over under is 2 3/4, just a little bit to over. Chelsea have looked a lot better lately. I mean, maybe the poach effect is finally hitting. We haven't seen enough of it yet, of course, but maybe we'll get there. I think from this perspective where I sit in, I think Chelsea are a team that I still don't trust to score goals, despite the recent flurry from Cole Palmer and a good performance against Arsenal. But then ultimately they choked up the win and ended up drawing 2-2. So I'm not sure that's enough for me going on the road, where goals have been really tough for Chelsea, really for the last year and a half now. Tottenham are going to give them a lot of opportunities, though. They're going to be on the front foot. They're going to be trying to score. And I think Chelsea's defense will hold pretty well against Tottenham. So I'm interested. I guess the more I talk about it, I'm more interested, getting myself more interested in Chelsea as a side, and also Chelsea the under. I think I want to get a full 3, especially with a Tottenham go type of style. So I might even like Chelsea a little bit more than the side here. So I'll put that down as a lean to under 2 3/4. Would love 3, but also a kind of a bigger feel or bigger, higher appetite for that Chelsea getting a 1/4 of a goal. And for my best bet on this for England before we get to Spain, I'm going to go with that West Ham getting a half of a goal on the road at Brentford. I think despite a little bit of a tougher rest advantage, I feel like I think Brentford are priced at a position that they can't really withstand. Moving now to Friday matchups in Spain. Of course, stick around for the ultimate best bet. We'll of course bring that all in. Summarize and pick my favorite one across the 5 European leagues as I talk live, which is always fun for everyone. I think we'll start with Las Palmas hosting Atletico Madrid. Currently, Las Palmas a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Almost all the juice on Atleti on the road. Over is 2 1/4 and is juiced to the over. Atleti didn't have cup play midweek, got, I think, a bye, which was huge. I might be wrong about that, but cup play, Copa del Rey, all the big La Liga teams are on the road, and they are playing the 4th tiers and like really, really low type of quality. But it is a road match now. Atleti got to play 2 in a row. If they did play midweek, I'm pretty sure they did. Las Palmas are dealing with contract issues with one of their star players. That's certainly impacted them a little bit, but their performances have been pretty good. I think the total is pretty low at 2 1/4. That's my biggest interest here. Las Palmas, I've said it before, they're Barcelona light. They're going to try to possess the ball as much as they can. And I think Atleti are going to let them do that. They like the counterattack abilities. They want Las Palmas to stretch, trying to score goals, and knowing that Las Palmas are trying to win matches at home. I think Atleti are probably good for taking a lead and then trying to sit on the lead as they kind of always do. And I think Las Palmas are going to try to prevent that as much as possible with ball possession. For that reason, I think I'm still interested in that under 2.25. It's definitely lower than what I was hoping to see. But it's a good price, I think, for a game that shouldn't have many goals. It tests an offense that goes on the road, which is much harder to score, and really a favorite that's on the road that wants to escape with a 1-0 win. Moving to Saturday, of Osasuna hosting Girona. Currently, Osasuna, I pick them with almost all the juice on Girona. Over-under is 2.5, juice a little bit to under. This has moved down. Osasuna were a quarter goal underdog, now have fallen. And that kind of takes that interest for me to back them as a side, though. Girona are up at the top of the table, have been jockeying back and forth for first position, and they've deserved it. They've fallen behind, they've come back and scored. I think that makes me a little bit less interested in the under 2.5. I think that's my biggest interest based on Osasuna being a good home team that doesn't really score a lot. But Girona have been scoring a ton. Their manager has been talked about on soccer matches that I've watched in La Liga about being one of those who defends by scoring. So never good for unders. But I think Osasuna ultimately would be pushing to try to make this as low scoring as possible, because I know they know they can't really compete on the scoreboard. Though we're also potentially looking at Girona being one of the most expensive peaks of their pricing season so far. Maybe they keep this up. They've been really good, of course. I think they're part of the Man City group, so it probably shouldn't be a surprise. But ultimately, they're about as expensive as possible, especially a pick 'em on the road at El Sadar. Moving next to Real Betis hosting Mallorca. Currently, Betis a half a goal favorite. Juice is split both ways. Over unders 2.25. Juice very heavily to under, and I don't think you can blame them, because Real Betis matches have not seen many goals lately, and Mallorca are going to go on the road and try to make this as low scoring as possible. With that said, I think I'm most interested in under there. I think these are certainly sides that have goals in them at times, but Real Betis have really fallen off a cliff for their offensive season. It does feel like a little bit like this number is very juiced and might fall to 2. That's probably too low for me to play, because there's so many things that happen. The penaltitos that drive me insane would be even worse with an under 2, but I think under 2.25 is very interesting to me at the moment. Celta Vigo then hosts Sevilla, currently a pick 'em, more juice on Celta's side. Over unders 2.5, and is juiced a little bit to under. Celta have been so bad. They're a team I want to be against as much as possible. I'm going to be waiting to see if Sevilla climb into a plus money type situation, though I don't love that. I'm not as interested in that on the road, I'll admit. I think probably unlikely they'll climb to a quarter goal underdog, so not really sure what to expect this one. The Sevilla manager, I feel like, has been pretty defensive so far, and I like that. I think that probably points to under 2.5 more so than anything. If Sevilla get to something more appropriate pricing wise, I think I'll be interested a little bit there. But yeah, for the most part, I think my biggest interest here is Sevilla under 2.5. And I feel like there's pretty good opportunity for that to come in through. Next, we'll go to Real Sociedad hosting Barcelona. Big matchup, especially for Barcelona coming off the Clásico. Real Sociedad, on their hand, have gotten off to a great start this season. I've been all over them and have been a believer really probably ever since I went to the match, my first European match a couple seasons ago. This is a big test for them that I don't know that they've really had a lot of success against Barcelona over the years, but they're basically hosting a Barcelona side that are really banged up. So I'm one that's very into backing underdogs at home, as everyone knows who listens to this podcast at all, plus teams that are playing banged up sides, and Barcelona are certainly one of those. So I'm very interested in this one. I think Sociedad and under are both very interesting and will potentially be on my card. Quarter of a goal is a little bit lower than I want at home to fade Barcelona, but it is at home, and that is certainly meaningful. Moving to Sunday, we have Alaves hosting Almeria, and probably another, if you thought Girona was overpriced, Alaves right here, a 3/4 goal favorite right now at home to Almeria is insane. But Almeria have been so bad this season, hard to really, I guess, put too much doubt into that number and what the odds makers or where the market has pushed this one. I don't have it moving too much, but it's far bigger than I was expecting. I think I got to put Almeria on my list as the potential, but I'm trying to stay far away from it. As for the total, Alaves have been a really defensive side. I think, again, I'm interested in the total here. Almeria's defense has been so bad. They've really been able to score goals and take leads, but they eventually have to focus on some sort of change or some sort of idea that maybe they should try to protect their net, because they don't do a good enough job of it. and they can't keep blowing 3-0, 2-0 leads and things of that nature. I would expect that to change strategies a little bit. And Alaves, I think, are going to be in a position where they're going to try to score goals to win this matchup, but they're ultimately a defensive side. So I feel like it's one of those, like, based on how the season has gone, this total is gigantic. The spread, honestly, is gigantic. And maybe there's this time to back Almeria in a way where you're not catching a falling knife. It's stock market term, of course, but you never want to buy a stock when it's just keeps falling and falling and falling, because eventually you want to see it improve before you buy it. I think Almeria have a long way to go to prove that, of course. Next, we'll go to Valencia hosting Granada. Currently, Valencia a 3/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over, there's 2.5 juice all the way to over. Potentially, this one closes higher at kickoff. Granada have not been a great defense, really, coming up from the Segunda División. Valencia are a young side that look like they're getting better, improving a ton. I don't know necessarily that I trust Valencia defense considerably, so that makes it hard for me to play under here, especially Granada being such a poor defense as well. I think I want to see this number hit 1. I don't know. It looks like it might get there. Until then, I think I'm staying away from it, though. Villarreal then hosts Athletic Club. Currently, Villarreal a 1/4 goal underdog with all the juice at home. Over unders 2.5 juice all the way to over. This is a game where I was hoping Villarreal would be overpriced. It actually has gone kind of the other way. Bigger than I made it, but ultimately I'm not interested in this Villarreal side, and I don't think they're in a good position. Crowds booing them. They've been running through managers like Leonardo DiCaprio runs through 27-year-old women now. I think he's up from 25, just formerly 23. Just doesn't really feel like a spot that I want to do anything with Villarreal. I guess I'm interested in under because it's bigger than I made it. It's getting odds right now as well. That's probably my bigger interest here. Not fully believing in Athletic Club offense, really. They were pretty competitive against Barcelona a couple weeks ago, but this is a different type of task now as a road favorite. So I guess I got to put Villarreal on my list. Feels like buying low, catching that falling knife, but I guess I'm a little more interested in under than that side, I guess. But I guess I'm interested in both because above, there's some variance from what I made it. So we'll go now to Real Madrid hosting Rayo Vallecano, a nice Madrid derby that matters more to the road team. And this is just another flea on the back or on the leg or whatever, mosquito on the leg that Real Madrid is hopefully going to get rid of soon. Real Madrid a 1.5 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over unders 3 juice all the way to over. I'm not a believer in Real Madrid offense. I don't think they're a team that's going to score a lot of goals. This one is trending towards 3.25, so that makes me very interested. I think Rayo are going to go in and try to be as defensive as possible, try to keep this as tight as they can. Certainly don't blame anyone that wants to play side and total here because I think they both point in the same direction. I think my biggest interest is in that under 3 even money right now. I might see 3.25 before this kicks off. And last but not least, we go to Monday. Getafe hosts Cadiz. Currently Getafe 1/2 goal favorite. Juice is split both ways. Over under is 2. Juice all the way to under. Might see 1.75 before this kicks off. Cadiz feel like a pretty big price, and for the most part I feel like I don't know necessarily that Cadiz took a tough red card on the road to Valencia, but really hung in there and somehow won an under bet, though their side didn't work out. I think from Getafe as a 1/2 goal favorite seems, they have been scoring a lot more goals this season, but I'm not sure I necessarily believe in it too much. And I feel like that's probably one of those ripe for the picking type of it's going to come back. Reversion to the mean is really coming in hot very, very quickly. From Cadiz's point of view, I think they are going to go in and try to make this as low scoring as possible. So I feel like that does point to under, but I don't have more than 2, and I feel like especially in La Liga, I think that's too small for me. It's bigger than I made it, getting a very juiced 2 at the moment. I think I have 1.97321 is what I have here, but I'm gonna wait and see if this somehow hits 2.25, though I really don't think it will. So for the best bet from Spain on this podcast, I'm gonna go with, I'm very interested in Real Sociedad, especially at home. I like that setup. I like Villarreal. There's a lot to like in Spain so far. I think I'm going to go with the Sevilla under 2.5 is my best bet. I just feel like there hasn't been a lot of goals in their matches. I think Celta de Vigo are still a defensive side. 2 teams that really don't look like there's going to be much offense to be had whatsoever. Moving now to Italy and Serie A, as I wear my half Napoli knockoff shirt or whatever with Roma in the background. Okay, here we go. We'll start with a Friday match of Bologna hosting Lazio. Both played, or I think Lazio, so both would have been off then, I guess, from Copa Coppa Italia this week, or I don't know why Bologna would play on maybe they played Tuesday and are going to play Friday as well. That'd be a quick turnaround. So I'm not sure that's necessarily going to happen. Let me check really quick. Yeah, they did play Verona, that actually. So quick turnaround for Bologna. They're not used to playing 2 matches in a week, so that's kind of a big deal. Lazio very well rested, coming off, of course, their Champions League and really kind of tough start to the season. Neither going really in the right direction for them. My biggest interest here is Bologna don't really score goals. Lazio haven't been doing much of that either. The Lazio defense was so good last season, but really hasn't been that great this year. In terms of what I made this number, it's about what I made it. I think under 2.25 is my biggest interest at Pick'em. There's not a lot for me to do there, though I do like Lazio potentially with fresher legs here. I don't know at Pick'em. I think I need one of these teams to be getting a quarter of a goal to play, or Bologna to be plus money at home, but on shorter rest, that's probably not worth it either. So under 2.25 will be my interest in that one. Moving now to Saturday, we have Salernitana hosting Napoli. Napoli with an incredible comeback on Sunday night that I was in the building for. The crowd looked dead, but probably won't matter as much on the road here. Salernitana 1.25 goal underdog at home, a little bit more of the juice. Over unders 3, a little bit more juice to over there as well. I'm interested in under here. I feel like it's far above what I made it. Napoli really haven't done much offensively. I think their biggest question is, can they keep Salernitana out? I would expect they can. They should be able to get past Salernitana's defense, but Salernitana, this is a great best spot they can to get 3 points against one of the top of the table for the Scudetto holders right now. I don't know necessarily if I'm that big of a believer in the Salernitana defense, but I think there's a very good possibility it lands on 3. So I really like that push possibility at 3. Moving next to Inter, we have Atalanta hosting Inter. Currently, Atalanta a quarter goal underdog at home with more of the juice on Inter on the road. Over there's 2.5 juice all the way to over. Atalanta, they've been getting a fair amount of respect from oddsmakers that I haven't really agreed with, including a really late stoppage time front door cover after really struggling with Genoa a couple weeks ago. But now they got a big test here against Inter. They were, I think, closed a pick'em favorite on the road at Lazio probably a month ago now, right before the international break. So it's another big step for them. But quarter goal underdog at home is a little bit interesting to me. I still don't know that I want to get in the way of Inter, though. I got to say, the line's exactly what I made it. So there's not really a lot of value benefit there. Over under at 2.5 is lower than I made it. So that does potentially look like the market is maybe underselling Inter's road offense a little bit. But then again, I think Inter in Champions League should have been off for that last round of the Coppa Italia. I don't have Atalanta playing. So and there are, I guess, some Coppa Italia matches that we're spilling over into middle of next week. So I guess I'll put out Atalanta on my list. I don't know that I really want to ever play an under with Atalanta. I just don't feel like they're necessarily on the same level that they had been a couple seasons ago. So that's my interest in that one. The nightcap on Saturday, AC Milan hosting real struggling Udinese. Milan haven't been playing great either, though, to be frank. Currently, Milan a 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Udinese on the road. Over there's 2.75 juice all the way to under. Under, I feel like makes a lot of sense here, just because it's been jockeying between 2.5 and looks like nope. But just kidding. I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, so it's been sticking here at 2.75 since I've been watching it. My bigger interest is definitely in that Udinese under. I do worry about them though, because they've had such a bad start to the season. If they're going to potentially try to change, I think they changed their manager, so they're going to try their best to potentially get something going another way. I don't know where the goals come from. They've been really bad, and the problem is when things start to get so shaky offensively, that kind of goes, your defense goes as well. Milan on the other side haven't been great. I watched them really fall apart, give up a 2-0 lead for pretty poor. Had a good first half, I want to say, against Napoli, but ultimately when you're up 2-0 at halftime, and the other manager who's been much maligned is making 3 substitutions at halftime. That suggests how bad that second half was, considering they only got a point out of it. I feel like Giroud was so good in the first half. That's probably a big threat for Udinese. And honestly, Pulisic was pretty quiet in the 2 matches I went to, but he's probably best in this type of situation against a weaker team that might get a little space to either run at them or potentially counterattack if Udinese are extending, try to score goals or potentially catch up. There is some danger here. I just don't think Udinese are very likely to score. So I think under 2 3/4 is my interest, and I would love to see a 3 if it possibly could get there, though it doesn't really look like it based on the movement. Verona then hosts Monza. Currently Verona a quarter goal underdog at home with a little bit less of the juice. So a little bit more on Monza on the road. Over there's 2 1/4 juice all the way to over. Verona definitely played Coppa Italia midweek. Haven't watched that one yet as I'm way behind as I try to watch all these matches, and it's takes forever, but working on it, watching 3 at a time, just not while I'm podcasting. Anyway, Verona, a quarter goal underdog at home, haven't really showed anything offensively. Their defense is really where they're going to try to win points this season. That's my interest in this one. It's lower than I made it, but I think it's for good reason. Very early start time, especially on Sunday. So I'll make that my interest in that one. That is, I don't know necessarily that I like the home dog because Monza are going to be on the front foot. They're going to attack. Maybe that's not great for a total and going under, but I think Verona are going to probably let them do it, and they're going to try to defend like they can at home, despite being the longer standing club in Serie A. Moving next to Cagliari hosting Genoa, 2 newly promoteds. Pick them right now with a little bit more juice on Genoa on the road. Over there's 2 1/4 juice to over slightly as well there. Cagliari have not really been that impressive. Both played Coppa Italia midweek. Genoa I've really liked, but haven't had as good of a run in the last couple of weeks, but we'll see how that ends up moving. Would love for Genoa to be an underdog here because I think I'll probably play them. I'm just not a believer in Cagliari. I don't think they're good enough. Genoa on the other side have been really impressive, great additions and some talent that you might not have expected seeing from a side that had just been relegated 2 seasons ago and promoted right away. Not sure there's a lot I want to do here. 2 1/4 is about what I made my total, so I'll put that as under as a potential there, but I am trying to reduce my plays a little bit, so we'll see if I can make that happen this weekend. Next we'll go to Roma hosting Lecce, currently 1 goal favorite. Roma are at home. Over under is 2 1/4 and it's juiced slightly to over. Lecce, I think getting that +1 is a really important push number. I don't know necessarily that 2 1/4 is lower than I made the total, so I'm not sure that I have as much interest there, but I think Lecce can hang here. Roma have been pretty fickle this season. I think that 2 1/4, I'd love to get 2.5. I don't know if that really is a huge breaking point for me on an under. I do think Lecce hang around here. So I really like that +1, that full goal of insurance. Last but not least, on Sunday, we have Fiorentina hosting Juventus. Currently, Fiorentina a pick 'em with all the juice on Juventus on the road. Over under is 2.5 with juice all the way to under as well. This is an interesting spot for Juve because they have been off to a good start this season and are not playing in Europe, which is a really big deal, I think. I don't know. Fiorentina have been pretty disappointing, including a really bad loss to Empoli last weekend. I guess I'm a little bit interested in Fiorentina if they move to a home underdog, but even then, I think their play has been bad enough that I don't necessarily think I want it. I think under 2.5 is my biggest interest. Really, I'm just looking to play unders with Juventus because every time Juve take a lead, they want to win 1-0. That's like pretty much Diego Simeone from Atletico Madrid and Massimo Allegri is like, they're basically the same guy. Just one is in Spain and one is in Italy, and one's wearing a little bit nicer suits, but they're probably both wearing similar ones. Moving to Monday, we have Frosinone hosting Empoli. Currently, Frosinone a quarter goal favorite at home with all the juice. Over under is 2.5 and is juiced a little bit to over. Empoli with a huge result at Fiorentina, road win. No one expected that. Had scored I think 1 goal all season. They're going to go and try to defend like crazy, and I think 2.5 is too big of a total here. I don't necessarily know why it's so big. I mean, Frosinone maybe haven't had as great of a defensive performance lately, but I mean, sheesh, it's really hard to see 3 goals in that matchup. Yes, 2 teams that are trying their best to try to potentially find their way to another year of safety, relegation fighters, blah, blah, blah. You could see some offensive output that you wouldn't expect in that type of matchup, but I just don't necessarily see it's coming. And last but not least, Torino hosts Sassuolo. Currently, Torino a quarter goal favorite. It's Monday night. With almost all the juice. Over under 2.5, juice a little bit to under. Torino are going to possess the ball and try to really defend with the ball. Sassuolo, never a great defense and probably could be found some holes in them. Total's a little bit bigger than I made it though. And I got to say, Torino are just never an efficient offense, and Sassuolo on the road probably less efficient as well. I think I like under here. I mean, what a surprise, but I just don't really feel like there's a ton of goals in Serie A right now. And for my best bet for Serie A, I'm going to go with that under 2.5. Frosinone at Empoli. Just too hard to see goals in that matchup in what should be a really tight relegation battle for very important 3-1, whatever amount of points. Moving to the German Bundesliga, we've got this one. We got French Liga, and then do an ultimate best bet, get out of here. Darmstadt, they're hosting Bochum. Currently, Darmstadt a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Bochum on the road. Over there's 2 3/4 juice all the way to over. I'm not sure there's been a ton of movement. Lost the 3. I would like to get that back so I can play under. Darmstadt have not been a great defense so far this season. Bochum's road defense has been pretty bad for the last few seasons. But I do think these are 2 teams that are fighting relegation and are going to be doing everything they can to try to keep the opponent from scoring. For that reason, I think I do like Bochum as a road team, though that is a little bit of a test for them away from home. And I think under 2 3/4, I'll be certainly waiting to see if the 3 flashes back. That's something I think is going to be a key number because I'd love to have that push. I'm going to start off by saying I've not had a good year in the Bundesliga betting unders. Their goals seem completely ridiculous and uncalled for. I just eventually it's going to stop. There's going to be reverting to the mean. I just hope I'm not bankrupt by the time that happens. Cologne then hosts Augsburg Saturday morning. We have Cologne a quarter goal favorite. All the juice on Augsburg on the road. Over under is 3. Juice all the way to well, not all the way. Very juice under. Cologne, great performance in the derby match against Borussia Mönchengladbach, but 2 penalties. I mean, I'm going to lose my mind, but 2 penalties. First one wasn't deserved, a red card. I mean, that was, to me, fairly questionable. Should have been yellow. I thought should have stayed yellow. A lot of help, and Cologne get to have a huge crowd behind them, and maybe they're going to convince the referee to make decisions all in their favor again in this matchup. Augsburg have not been good. I don't really want to back them at all as a quarter goal underdog on the road. Yes, they've switched managers and came back from a 2-0 deficit on the road at Heidenheim a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not a believer. I think under 3 is my interest here. I am trying my best not to lose money on trying to back the Augsburg defense. I think I've done a fairly good job of that, not playing their sides. But here we are, like under 3. Next we'll go to Freiburg, hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach. It's been a really tough start to the year for Freiburg. But they're a quarter goal favorite here, with all the juice potentially climbing to a half before this kicks off. Over under is 3, juice all the way to under. Gladbach, they've been pretty disappointing, but have been, I think, competitive in their rebuild. I think getting 3 on Freiburg matches is a key number. I don't think that there's a lot of goals that will be seen in those type of matchups. The Gladbach defense is, of course, a concern, but how much can Freiburg take advantage of that? Are they going to get a penalty because that's 0.77 XG, and that gets you a big piece, but I feel like that's what you're looking for in all these unders that I'm playing. It's really, is there going to be a penalty? Because there were 14 against me a couple weekends ago. I counted, it was so bad. I think not really going to mess with the side here, which does, I feel like I'm trying to back a little bit more. If I like a side and under, then that's probably a better situation to play under, but it's just playing against a Freiburg offense that has been non-existent really for a while now. Gladbach's defense is a question, but their offense hasn't done much either. And I think seeing 4 goals in this match will be really hard to expect. So under 3, I like in that one. Mainz then host RB Leipzig. Currently Mainz a 1-goal underdog at home. Over under is 3. Jesus split both ways. Mainz have been off to a really poor start. I don't think they've relieved their manager of his duties, which he's basically saved them a few seasons ago. So I wouldn't advise that. But this is going to be a really tough matchup for him. The schedule's been really difficult as well for Mainz, which is especially difficult how they take the poor start to the season. But Leipzig, they're a different offense on the road, different team on the road, not as high scoring, but they're going to do their best to try to clog the middle or own the middle and do swift counterattacks. Mainz probably won't have a lot of the ball and will probably try to prevent that way. So I guess I like under 3. It's bigger than I made it. Man, I just always love Bundesliga unders. I mean, they've been definitely inflated, but at this point in the season, it's certainly the inflation has worked out for a marketplace that I don't think has deserved it. Next, go to Hoffenheim, hosted by Leverkusen, a big matchup, and especially for a Hoffenheim side that's been so bad at home this season. Currently, Hoffenheim a 1-goal underdog at home. Juice is split both ways. Over under is 3.5. Juice to over. I'm going to like under here because I don't make the total as high. I'm not as in love with the Leverkusen offense as everyone is. Boniface has been awesome, but he also takes a million shots a match. I think the 1 is too high as well. I don't want to keep learning lessons by fading Leverkusen, but at this point, I mean, they are so overpriced. I feel like they're a good team. Of course, Xabi Alonso is probably going to take the Real Madrid job when Carlo Ancelotti leaves for Brazil, but I think they've got a long way to go to support these prices. Getting a full goal of insurance on a home team, maybe that hasn't been great at home, is I think a very nice position to be in. And I think there's going to be a low amount of goals here because there's probably not going to be 2 goalkeeper assists in the same game like Hoffenheim had 2 weekends ago. Union Berlin hosts Eintracht Frankfurt in one of the worst runs of their Bundesliga. I don't think it could be worse. A pick'em Union are at home with all the juice, which give me that quarter of a goal, please, please, please. I'll back Eintracht Frankfurt. I like them. Both played the cup midweek, so potentially some tired legs here, which I think also plays into under. So, man, like side and under, certainly waiting if I can get a quarter of a goal, but I might even, just based on the state of Union Berlin at this point, I think it might even be worth playing a pick 'em, getting odds on the road with Eintracht Frankfurt and hoping for a road win or at worst a road draw, because I think it's very likely that Eintracht can get a result here. Next to the top spiel, Borussia Dortmund hosting Bayern München and Der Klassiker. Really a Dortmund side that have not been that good to me this season, but it hasn't really affected them in the table. Bayern, who've had some troubles themselves, but kill everyone in Champions League and have done a fairly good job in the Bundesliga as well, to come back from deficits or like they did at Leipzig. I guess they did have a tough late penalty concession that cost them the Leverkusen match. But anyway, Dortmund a half a goal underdog at home, all the juice on Bayern on the road, over unders 3.5, juice almost all the way to over. Might see a 3 3/4 before this kicks. I think Dortmund are going to try to outscore Bayern like they always do, but I think they're actually more pragmatic here. I think everyone knows Bayern's so good offensively, and playing unders with Bayern is a really scary thing. Could see 7 in this one, but you pay the same if it ends 4 as it does 7. And I think these matches could potentially play a little bit closer. No reason, not Miroslav close. I could have made a joke there, I guess. But anyway, could have, would have, should have. Definitely waiting on this total to get higher to 3 3/4 than potentially 4. I doubt it gets that high because I think there's a little bit more respect for defense in this one. I guess the Dortmund are a little bit higher of an underdog or bigger of an underdog than I expected. Might even see 3/4 of a goal at home, which is gigantic. But Bayern have owned the series for a long time now. I think my interest is under 3.5, though it feels too high to me at this point. Or feels like a big risk. But I guess I'll put it on the list because it's a lot bigger than I made it, half of a goal. And who am I to turn my nose up an extra half of a goal? Moving to Sunday, Wolfsburg hosting Werder Bremen. Currently, Wolfsburg, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. A little bit more juice over. There's 3 1/4 juice to under. Werder Bremen have not been a good offense for a long time now. They've not been a good team for a long time now. They probably shouldn't have stayed in the league last season and are going to fight it this year, I expect. Wolfsburg have had a really tough schedule. Have been underdogs and have been making a ton of mistakes, and that's really not worked out very well for them. I don't think I want anything to do with the side here. So I think it's really just a Werder Bremen under 3 1/4 goals. Because I mean, the Wolfsburg defense have been making a lot of mistakes. Eventually, I guess I should learn that that's going to keep happening rather than expect it to stop. But I think Werder Bremen are very possibly going to get shut out here and get a clean sheet. And can Wolfsburg get 4 goals themselves? Of course they could, but I think Werder Bremen are going to do the best they can to keep them out, especially on the road. So I think under 3 1/4 is a big interest for me there. And last but not least, on Sunday, we have FC Heidenheim hosting Stuttgart. It's currently Heidenheim a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Almost all the juice on Stuttgart on the road, over under 3 1/4, and it's juiced very heavily to under. It seems like the Stuttgart offense goes as Seru Guirassy goes. Of course, he's been lighting the world on fire. I'm not sure if he's available for this one, but the total does seem pretty high if he's not going to play. Heidenheim, I would expect to return to some sort of defensive idea after taking a 2-0 lead on a bad team like Augsburg at home and losing 5-2. Until that happens, though, I think I need to see a little bit more, but getting more than 3 is just gigantic for a total here. So what a surprise. I like a lot of Bundesliga unders. Going to try to be a little bit as sensible as possible as I can with that. And before we move to France, I'll give my best bet from Germany, and that will be that under 3 1/4 goals on who is it? Werder Bremen is the under. I'll put as my best bet there. Last but not least, then we'll get to ultimate best bet. So we have a Friday match. We have PSG playing against Montpellier, probably getting a little bit of extra rest for Champions League, I think, coming up next midweek. Currently, PSG a 1 3/4 goal favorite. It's climbing a little bit in price. It's now fully juiced. Could see a 2 pop at some point, and that might be a buy price or at least an interest for me. I'm already interested in Montpellier as it's way higher than I made it. Over under 3.5, juiced all the way to over. Probably see that one climbing as well. though it's been jockeying back and forth a little bit. I think Montpellier have been a much better defense under Denis Zakarian, though they haven't really been great the last few weeks. PSG are starting to look like they're looking like a much better team at this point. I do like the 1 3/4, but I think we'll get 2, so I'll wait to see that. And I like under 3.5. So it's really going to be an afternoon of me deciding how much risk I want to take against PSG. Lorient then hosts Lens on Saturday. Lorient currently a 3/4 goal underdog at home, a little bit more juice on the road team. Over under is 2.5, juice pretty much, well, a little bit to over. Lorient have had a really tough start to the year, but are improving. And ultimately, their young team, I think they sold a lot of players the last few seasons that have been really working in new guys, and they're kind of finding their feet, but it's taken a while. I do feel like Lens are a team I want to be against. Size bigger than I made it. Lens are going to be front-footed, going to attack. Total's about what I had, so I'm not sure there's a ton of value there, but I feel like one good performance, I'm back on the Lorient train. They're a team I've been backing a lot for the past few seasons. It has not worked as well this year, but Lens are still a side that I'm looking to be against. They have fully worked in their newcomers, and they did a lot of business late in the transfer window. So that has helped them improve, but I'm just still not a full believer in them. So I do like Lorient getting 3/4 of a goal at home, and potentially, I mean, at 1, I like it a lot more, but I guess I like the under there too. Moving to Saturday evening, we have Marseille hosting Lille. Marseille coming off their match being postponed, I believe, at Lyon, or at home for Lyon, at Lyon, wherever it was. Incredible. Like the behavior of French soccer football fans is atrocious. It's honestly really annoying at this point. Lille have been great though. Great XGs. The BN Sports guys were talking about how well they've played and really haven't gotten results. I think that's a good really possibility for them to start to get them. Marseille are just not really a team I believe in as much. I'm not as concerned with them. Total at 2.5 feels like it's fairly, I mean, I feel like for these two teams, that should be a higher total. It's not. I think it speaks to the struggles finishing chances that we've seen from these two teams. Marseille and the Stade Orange Velodrome, they're not as scary as they used to be to me. And I really like Lille. They're going to go on the front foot, try to win this match. And I kind of like that as a core goal underdog rather than playing defensively. Moving to Sunday, Lyon hosts Metz. Currently, Lyon, a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over-unders 2 3/4, just a little bit to under. Lyon as a big favorite right now makes absolutely no sense. Metz are certainly not a great team. We're an underdog at home to another newly promoted last weekend. So that's not a great sign for their skill, but sheesh. I mean, at this point, I don't know how anyone could not want to be against Lyon in any type of way, and going to have to prove Lyon will that they're turning it around, because big name that's in crisis, like at the bottom of the table, and have shown nothing that they're going to change that. So give me Mets. They've been really competitive all season. Nolston hosts Reims. Currently Nolston pick them at home. All the juice on Reims on the road. Over just 2 1/4. Just a little bit to over. Reims have been a great offense for a while. I think Nantes have been a side that I've been looking to back a lot, and they've been really performing well. I like them as a home underdog here, though I probably want to get to make sure I get 1/4 of a goal before I play. Fading Reims is a little bit concerning because they're a really good offense. They've been playing so well ever since Will took over midway through last season. Man, I think I'm interested in Nantes, but I want to see if I can get a better price. Strasbourg then hosts Clermont Foot. Currently, Strasbourg a 1/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice on Clermont. Over under is 2 1/4, and it's just a little bit to under. Clermont are not a great offense. Strasbourg are not either, though. So I like, I guess, road team and under here. I probably like it's a really low price and it's very juiced at the moment. So the market clearly likes Clermont here. Maybe that makes me like it a little bit more. I think the total at under 2 1/4 is also very interesting because I don't think either of these two teams are very likely to score goals. So that might be my bigger interest in that one. Moving next to Toulouse hosting Le Havre. Le Havre, who've really changed their game from a possession-based, dominate the game that won Ligue 2 last season, to being a lot better in the league and getting a lot of respect last weekend on the road at Metz. Now they play Toulouse, who have been battling. I mean, finally a midweek off. I don't think there's any Coupe de France play this midweek, so that's good for Toulouse. They are not prepared to play Europe after winning Coupe de France last year, and then also playing Liga and trying to hang around. I think they're a really dangerous team. They got a good result a couple of weeks ago that seemed kind of undeserved. I think Le Havre are starting to look like a team that I want to potentially back as much as I can. total's about what I made it, but I do like the road team, and I do like the under as well, because I just think I'm playing against a Toulouse side that aren't very likely to do much offensively. So I like the quarter, and I like the under 2.25. Moving next to Monaco hosting Stade Brestois. Currently Monaco a 3/4 goal favorite at home with a little bit more of the juice. Over under is 3, juice all the way to under. Stade Brestois, hard to argue with how well Brest have played this year. Will that continue is a big question. Total's bigger than I made it by a lot. But I really don't like unders with Monaco because they are a goal scoring machine. And I know that it seems like Monaco are never going to get clean sheeted or shut out. So at best means we got 1 goal. Brest are pushing for goals as well. We'll see how much they put up there. I think the Brest offense has been a lot better this year, despite selling Frank Onra to Borussia Mönchengladbach. So, or at least the league. I'm not sure if they sold him, if he left on a free, but regardless, Brest have been better. I think they can be competitive here. I want to see if I get a +1 on them, because it's the totals, or I guess the size is exactly what I made it. The total's a lot bigger though. So, but I can't imagine I'm going to advocate for that as the best bet for France for the ultimate best bet portion of the show upcoming. Last but not least, in France, we have Nice hosting Rennes. Currently Nice a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Over unders 2.25, juice to over. This is a very respectful line of Nice, but they've deserved it. They played really well so far this season. I don't really see that changing. Rennes really have been a bad road team for a while now. I don't really think that it's actually the price is lower than I made it, which is surprising. So I don't really know where to go with this one. I got to say, I think Nice are a team I'm scared enough. They've been a project that have been building and getting new players and better players, and I think had a big investment, which helped a couple seasons ago. Project didn't really get off to a great start. It was when they lost Gaultier to PSG, but ultimately, I don't think I want to do anything with Rennes, and I feel like they're still an overside, so I don't really want to play under here because I kind of have an under idea with Nice as well. So for the ultimate best bet in France, I got to stick with one of those games where I like both of them. I do really like Lille, but on the road it's a little bit scarier as a 1/4 goal underdog. So I think for my best bet, I'm going to go that Clermont foot under 2.25 goals. I just don't think that there's going to be much scoring at all from a Strasbourg side that have been really bad for, I don't know, what feels like my entire life. Of watching this sport, and I don't really see that changing. So it's now the ultimate best bet portion of the show. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we're gonna do our best to get one on the list and try to get an Instagram account or get it on the Instagram, because I haven't done a great job with that so far. And I guess it's time to get into it. But before we get there, if you're not a Patreon member yet or not a patron, check out patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best place to get my picks, plays, leans, everything write-ups, all on your phone. Actually, if you download the app, turn on notifications, you get a buzz every time I lock something in. There's a notify members feature, and I think everyone will tell you that that's the best way to get everything as soon as I have it. Of course, if you're on pregame, check that out. Picks coming out each night as always. I got a Friday soccer card out there already as well. And then if you are already a member at BetOnline, I highly recommend, actually might even be a better promotion. If you're not a member yet of sportsbetting.ag, they're running a 2x bonus right now. So whatever you put in, whatever you deposit, first time deposit, you get to double it with casino money. So put in 500. I think max is 500. So put in 500, you get $500 to do whatever you want with. Use the promo code GW50 or just follow the link. They might put you to a different promo code on the website. I've been talking to the people, whoever they are. And it seems like if you follow the link that's in the podcast description, whether on Spotify, YouTube, all those sort of things, it should take you right there. And let me know if it works out. That'd be also very helpful, so I can make sure that you get your bonus. So check that out, sportsbetting.ag. We got a link in the podcast description below. And if you're on Spotify, leave a 5-star review. It'd be huge. Same rules apply, or same hopes apply for Apple. If you're on YouTube, please hit subscribe as well. It'd be huge. And of course, always follow the real_G Warner and hit me up, get in the DMs. I know I missed a couple of those over the last week or so. My bad. My phone was an absolute relic in Europe, unfortunately. So I think I have to upgrade that as well. But trying to do my best to stay at top of all the places to message me. We're on Patreon, probably the best place to do it, but Twitter as well. I'm on there a lot, as you'll probably all know. And then if I find a YouTube comment, I'll try to reply to it. Whatever it is, wherever it is, I'll do my best to get on there. So without further ado, let's do it. This is Betting the Pitch, whatever number episode. I'm the real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, and Twitter. Best bets for this European soccer weekend. From England, I'll go West Ham getting 1/2 of a goal. In Spain, Sevilla under 2.5. In Serie A, I'll go Empoli under 2.5 goals. In the Bundesliga, Werder Bremen under 3.25. And last but not least, in Ligue, I'll go Clermont Foot under 2.25 goals. And from ultimate best bet, the real_G Warner on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon, I'm going to go with that under 2.5 goals in Empoli on the road at Frosinone. Just a matchup of two teams that are fighting to try to stay in the league. Stay in Serie A. I don't think there are a lot of be goal scoring opportunities. I think both the defenses are going to be fighting really hard to prevent the other one from scoring. And 2.5 just feels like a much bigger total than we should have. 2.25, I think, would be a lot more appropriate. Don't believe in Empoli suddenly starting to score goals, especially now on the road. So for the ultimate best bet on this episode, take Empoli under 2.5 goals and go make some money. And that'll do it for this episode. Very happy to be back in the States. Hopefully that will make everything a little bit more smooth going forward. And really looking forward to get out of this itchy Maradona fake jersey or whatever I bought on the streets of Napoli. So hope everyone enjoyed it. Like I said, hit the subscribes, hit the 5-star reviews, all those sort of things would be helpful. Stay tuned for NFL, potentially going to come out with one of those episodes, or if not, we'll be back Tuesday night as always. And then stay tuned for a college basketball episode. We're getting close. I've been looking at futures all day today. And should be something good. That'll be on the podcast, the Betting Pitch podcast feed coming up. So subscribe to that as well.